Iron Maiden finally heard us! For months, we've been talking about what exactly will Iron Maiden do to celebrate their 50th anniversary, which is coming up next year. And so now it looks like the band has finally heard us and stopped all the teasing. And in all honesty, it is actually better than we hoped for. Just now, the boys announced their Run For Your Life World Tour, with a special setlist focusing specifically on the early days of Iron Maiden, and which will kick off next summer in Europe. More precisely on May 27th in Budapest, Hungary, going through all of June and July, with a couple of odd breaks in between, which may mean that some additional dates are at least a possibility, and the final stop being the Narodowy Stadium in Warsaw, Poland on August 2nd. The coolest thing is that it looks like the Run For Your Life World Tour will not in any way be a rip-off of their Legacy of the Beast tour, as it will feature songs only from the golden era of the band. So, from 1980's self-titled debut album through Fear of the Dark. And according to the band's manager Rod Smallwood, Iron Maiden will cover classics and fan favorites from the first 9 albums, many of which they haven't played in years, and many Iron Maiden will likely never play again in the future.
Nice.
Now, I guess that definitely means that we'll get at least one song from each of those 9 albums, including something from No Prayer for the Dying, which, by the way, now that Somewhere in Time has finally gotten its dues, is by far the most overlooked out of those 9.
It's just outrageous.
As well as some of their biggest hits, which so many have been complaining about the band not performing during their The Future Past tour. As of right now, I guess there are some songs which are already almost 100% confirmed for this tour. Those being the Phantom of the Opera, as it is the soundtrack to the tour's promo, Iron Maiden, well, because we all know that the band will play it.
Yep.
I guess Fear of the Dark, and Run to the Hills, as, well, its lyrics are literally in the tour's title. I'll obviously release a full-length video speculation about this tour's setlist very soon. So, by the way, please do not forget to subscribe to this channel if you're an Iron Maiden fan and you still haven't done so yet. But I simply cannot hold my urge to speculate a little right now. So, if we take a look at the setting of the first part of the announcement, we'll see that it is clearly a nod to the band's first ever single, Runnin' Free, which, although was the setlist stable in the 1980s, the band hasn't performed live for more than 10 years now. And in addition, if we zoom into the background behind Eddie, we'll see a tiny Japanese building in there, which is rather weird, because Iron Maiden specifically said the first 9 albums only. And that means no Sujutsu, which I guess means that after more than 40 years, one particular song from the Peace of Mind album might finally become a bit more than just a beer title. And overall, talking about this announcement, as pretty much everything Iron Maiden does or releases online, it is simply packed with a bunch of Easter eggs for all of the die-hard Iron Maiden fans to decipher, including the West Ham slogan "Come on, you Irons," which is clearly a homage to the band's upcoming headline concert at West Ham's London Stadium, which will take place next June 28th, and which is something Steve Harris has been dreaming about for pretty much his entire life. And what I also liked about this announcement is the whole idea that the Iron Maiden camp has chosen a song performed by Paul Di'Anno originally, and you can actually hear a little bit of Paul's voice in the teaser. And even the Eddie himself, although he clearly is a nod to the original Killers Eddie, in his leather jacket looks very much like how Paul looked like back in the early 80s, which I just think is a very classy move by Iron Maiden, given everything Paul Di'Anno has gone through in the past couple of years. And overall, I have to say that I really like this new Eddie, who looks both very old school yet very modern at the same time, and is somewhat of a Frankenstein between the different Eddies Iron Maiden had in the early days. As on one hand, yes, he clearly is a nod to the Killers Eddie. I mean, he even has exactly the same t-shirt he had in 1981. Yet at the same time, his eyes are clearly a nod to both Iron Maiden album and Somewhere in Time. His neck pays tribute to Seventh Son of a Seventh Son, and the little pieces of wood on his shoulder are a clear homage to fear of the dark. And even more, if you take a closer look at his fingers, you'll see that there are actually little wires running through him. Isn't it awesome? And yes, I guess now we kind of understand why there have been no songs from Killers performed by Iron Maiden in the last couple of years, as the overall set and the new Eddie is placed in the new poster is pretty much exactly that from the Killers album artwork, although of course destroyed and burned down. And even the legendary lamppost, although obviously no longer functional, is still hanging in there as a reminder of the past glory. And here's the thing, with this setting, it almost looks like Iron Maiden are deliberately burning down and destroying the past, which is somewhat of a bittersweet thing, but I guess is the best possible way to celebrate the band's 50th anniversary. Talking about the past and even more so about the future. In the tour announcement, Rod Smallwood said, "We have already been hard at work for months putting together an even more spectacular and elaborate new show, which will bring the songs to life more than we have ever been able to do before. This is going to be a huge couple of years for Iron Maiden and Eddie, of course, and we are very excited about what we have up our sleeves for our fans throughout the whole of our 50th year. I promise you're all going to be very happy indeed." And you know what? Simply looking at the locations at where Iron Maiden will be performing for most of this tour, I gotta say that I very much trust Rod Smallwood, as maybe not all of them, but at least the vast majority of the venues Iron Maiden will perform this Run For Your Lives tour at are huge arenas. I mean, it is pretty much a stadium world run.
Exactly.
And given the fact that there is an enormous amount of hype going around the Iron Maiden community right now regarding this tour, I'm actually quite sure that the majority of these dates will get sold out in a matter of days, if not hours. Which of course gives Iron Maiden a huge amount of opportunities to do something really extraordinary for all of their die-hard fans. And the whole fact that Rod Smallwood specifically underlined that it will be a huge year for Eddie himself, for some weird reason, absolutely not backed by any facts. I actually have a feeling that there will be something special either at the end of this tour or during the band's performance at the West Ham Stadium, and it will involve the legendary Eddie they had. But I guess the most frequent question I've seen Iron Maiden fans asking each other online after this announcement is whether this is it, and this tour will most likely be the final Iron Maiden world run, especially since in the recent interviews Bruce Dickinson did actually point out that he knows exactly what he and the band will be doing up until 2026, and the rest is a mystery. But as we all know, Iron Maiden is not really a kind of band that does a lot of spontaneous decisions. And so if we take a closer look at what Rod Smallwood said here, we'll see that when talking about the songs performed during this run, he says that the band will most likely never play them again in the future. In the future meaning post 2026, which means that the band is already thinking about what to do in the future, and I'm 100% sure that this run will not be the end of Iron Maiden, as Steve Harris himself pointed out that the band has no intention of hanging their instruments just yet. But anyways, guys, of course in the coming weeks I'll be releasing a bunch of episodes regarding this tour, so make sure to not miss them. But for now, the most important question is, how excited are you? Which songs do you think Iron Maiden will perform during this run, and whether you are planning to see this band next year? Oh, and of course, yes, in case you didn't notice that, this tour is already announced for 2025 and 2026, which means that after the European dates next year, there will 100% be at least some dates in Northern and Southern America, and maybe some other parts of the world as well. Who knows, maybe the band will even fly out to Australia and Japan once again. And who knows, maybe even the Greek fans will finally get to hear their beloved Alexander the Great live in 2026. Although, for now, it doesn't really look like. But anyways, I don't know about you, but I'm actually really excited for this tour. And the truth is that I would absolutely love to see it live. So guys, please continue supporting Ukraine so that at least I and millions of Ukrainian metalheads will finally be able to see Iron Maiden live again. But anyways, thank you so much for watching this very short and spontaneous video, which I was super happy to record, and we will prevail. Slava Ukraini!